All right, man. Let's have a I always start off my interviews like let's have a conversation. And you know what, I'm gonna if you could just pull your mic a little bit closer to you. There
Right.
you go. There you go. I always start off my conversations by saying, let's have a conversation. But I feel like we're gonna have an important, serious conversation here today about a lot of different things that you have been able to bring to fruition in the city, bring to the table, a lot of the help that you've been able to do for the community. You know what I mean? And we really appreciate it. Okay. I want to start by saying that. Okay. We really appreciate everything that, you and the community and your organization has been doing for the city. Right. So with no further ado, for the people who are in the viewing audience, and also big salute to our sponsors, Astro Pink. If you know, hit them up on their website, myastropink.com, or check them out on Instagram, my astro_pink. But we have this gentleman here today representing the organization of Keep6.org, and we have Richard Miller in the building. Now, if you can, I'm going to do this a little bit differently because I do a lot of interviews where I do all the research, and I'm done my research today. However, I always ask the questions like where I already know the answers. I'm going to be an open book today, and I want you to just explain to me like as if I have no idea about your company. So can you break down what Keep6.org is to start with?
So Keep6 is a nonprofit organization that caters to individual that has been through the justice system or from the marginalized community.
Yes.
One of the most important thing is that we have young people that just don't have the support. They might have made a bad choice sometime in their life, or they may be thinking about going down that wrong path going, to get caught up. So the important thing is that Keep6 is there for those people who others might turn their nose upon or, make bad judgment because of their mistakes in life.
Yeah, and you guys are really involved with the prison system and stuff like that, and helping people behind the wall. Can you just describe just a little bit of what you guys do in the prison system before we get more in depth?
So one of the things we do when it comes to this justice system is advocacy. Very big on that.
Okay.
Everyone is aware the system itself, as they call it, this system, and that's what it is, a system. It works exactly how they want it to work.
Yeah.
A lot of our young people that get caught up in the system do not know how to navigate the system. So there's a lot of human rights violation. There's a lot of injustice. There's a lot of abuse. And Keep6 gets the opportunity, or people reach out to us for help to advocate for them or to bring things to light.
Yeah.
Because we have to look at the broader picture of a lot of times people are behind walls. They don't have a voice. They get that phone call to their family, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we come into. But then also there's a program that we have called Gangs for Tuition.
Okay.
Which allows individuals that might have been in a gang lifestyle to go through the program and then get the opportunity to even be in the trades, be able to make union wages, and have that support that they need to be a positive member in society.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. And this company, Keep6.org, from my recollection, I've started seeing you guys around 2018. But I'm sure you guys have been around before this, or maybe an iteration of it before this.
Yeah, Keep6 was actually formed in 2017.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm not too far off then.
No,
Okay.
yeah, May of 2017. You're right.
Yeah.
I myself personally had my share of, the system. And after going through it, I found I was the guy who was inside, and I was doing a lot of advocacy.
Yeah.
I knew how to the wording to write a grievance challenge, because my question was, because you're telling me this is right, who says it's right?
Yeah.
You're telling me it's right. So I'm going to challenge it. And I started doing a lot of advocacy, and it's quite clear when you're that person, the squeaky wheel, you get jammed up.
Yeah.
And I just decided that, I'm going to keep on fighting. Right.
Right.
So because of that, I continue to do it. And I wanted to carry that on outside.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted actually for the community to know what's going on behind the walls.
Right.
So I actually came out and I started a discussion called Empowerment to Unlock the Justice System.
Okay.
And the first place I did, I was able to get support over at Young Street Mission.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me the space. And I had a platform, was one of my own defense lawyer, another lady from the city who does advocacy too, from Think Twice,
Okay.
Zia Brown, a panel discussion. It was a manager who was from the Toronto East Detention Center, and a couple other people.
Sorry, manager like
a CO.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because at the time he was the A&D manager, but he was also the going out president for ABLE, which is a Black organization for Black law enforcement.
Yeah, and A&D for, I guess, for the people who don't know, because this, we have a core audience who's very hood. So when they hear stuff like A&D, they're like, oh yeah, I've been there before, right? But that's admittance and discharge. Right? And that's like the area when you first get into prison where they take your belongings and stuff like that, and also the same area where you get your belongings back.
Right.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit, right? With your story, because you're coming from a perspective that you can relate to the people that you're dealing with on a regular basis, right? So let's go back a little bit. And where did you grow up? I'm thinking like the West End, right?
Yeah, I grew up in the Mississauga, Oakville area.
Okay, and like, what was it like growing up for you? Were single parent household, two parents in the household?
Two parents in the household. Great. You're normal. Back in the 70s, normal families.
Mm-hmm.
Both parents worked, went to school, and then just the time in your life you're trying to find yourself, and you kind of just get around people and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And I at one time I picked up an assault charge.
Okay.
So I might have been in my 20s.
Yeah.
I picked up an assault, and then that assault, back then you went in and a lot of you got school and you got support. So you had brothers who were coming down from the pen back for some reason in provincial, or guys who are going to be going to the pen. They call it the pen range.
Right.
So, you got schooled and stuff like that. So you started, I was that kind of a person who didn't know about that, so I kind of learned. And it happened one day, a guard used the N-word. And back then we had our meal trays, And I remember clearly it was a Sunday morning, and kind of built it up in my mind. And I whacked him with the tray, and
wow.
I know the code blue button went off.
Yeah.
I know what time it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they started, beating me. But then I had him on the floor, and I just bit him in the face.
Oh, snap.
Right. So that there alone, I went into segregation for about 30 days.
Okay.
And back then they had a thing called bean cake. So bean cake was a thing that they fed you as a meal, but it wasn't a proper meal. And it consists of all beans, like a meatloaf. So they gave you 2 slices 3 times a day with a cup of salt, and 2 slices of bread and a cup of tea.
And this is every day?
Yes, for 10 days.
Wow.
That was the maximum time they could give it to you for. And then they would have to give you a meal, and then they could put you back on it again.
And this is while in provincial.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, bean cake, if I'm not mistaken, bean cake was up until about 1999, 2000.
Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know about it. So you just think about it right now, right? You are in a situation like that. Your mindset kind of changed. So I came out and I was just like, I was different. Like I learned how to handle myself. I learned how to throw a left and a right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know? And I just was different. I was more aggressive, but I was still trying to be that calm person, right?
Right.
So over the years, I just picked up more and more assaults.
You kept on recidivizing.
Right. So it wasn't until my last bit, my lawyer decided to say, hey, you know, this ain't you. You know, there's something going on. So I ended up getting a psychologist and I suffered from PTSD.
Interesting.
So the funny thing about it was going through the system, you might be saying something happened to you and nobody would listen to you, right? They just do paperwork and push it. You're just talking, right? Because when that happened to me, I went from the city and I went to a place in Peterborough, which is gone now. It's called Millbrook.
Yeah.
So Millbrook was a provincial institution, but it was built as a federal institution with a gun towers and everything.
Okay.
So it was very racist back then. This is going back in the 80s. And when you got there, you're upstairs, and then back then there was 3 population range. So there wasn't very much blacks.
Right.
Like I got there and it was myself and another brother.
Okay.
Like I was like a heavy brother from Yard. And they put us on what they call a goose train. So we left and we went to the west. From the west, we went all the way to Guelph. From Guelph, we went to a place called Walkerton. They just dropped you off. And then, you know,
and these are just different institutions that are putting
right.
you in.
And then from there, we went to a place called Owen Sound. And then we got there.
And make sure to keep that thought, right? It's so crazy how many institutions there are in Ontario. You know what I'm saying? Or just places like
used to
around. Because there's less, but there's still a lot, man.
A lot of them now, since what was it, 2000 when they started the mega jails?
Yeah, they amalgamated them. Yeah. Okay, so you're moving around through the system. What made you start turning the corner once, you know, what made you get fed up with going to jail, man?
Well, there's a lot of old heads who are doing time, right? Time was a thing back then. You're doing it. It was like, there was respect, there was honor, there was a code of conduct and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where you're going and you're doing hard time. You're not doing hard time because of the man. You're doing hard time because of the same people that you're there doing time with, right?
Yeah.
So that whole code of conduct was kind of gone. And then on top of it, you start seeing a lot of young heads coming in and they now building their own theory when it comes to the system. The code of conduct that's been around for decades, that was the respect and everything else. Now it's gone. You know, it's like, no, like they don't even know how even phone came on arranged.
Yeah.
When we're doing time, we had to fill out a request and go to the white shirt's office to go make a phone call home to your family.
Wow.
You know, and then there's phones on the range. Now there's not just one phone when you got one, but now there's, 6 phones. You know.
Well, when I was in the Don, there was 3, but 6,
right.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you know the history of how phones started getting integrated onto the range?
I don't recall how phones started getting, well, okay. So one of the things I recall was the fact that we were protesting for it. So there's a hunger strike we did and stuff like that for phones and all these things.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, right? And some of the times I remember the meal carts came in and they would just push them back out off the range.
Wow. Because of the lack of phone usage. Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize when you go away, the lack of connection that you have now to your family on the outside, your people, especially sometimes, you know, nobody ever plans on going to jail, right?
Right.
So you're in the mix of doing whatever you're doing, and then technically you feel like you're kidnapped from the world. So nobody even knows that you're gone now. And like having that phone communication, even in that first contact of jail, is super important, right?
Yeah.
If you're gone for a week and you can't get to a phone because there's only the one phone available in the white shirt office or the captain's office, that could be detrimental.
Yeah, but remember also, like the thing, back then did a lot of writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Communication was your mail. You look forward for every day
Yeah.
when the mail, you get mail's handing out. That was your form, right? You never
Mhm.
really, and phone was very expensive. Don't forget.
Back then.
Collect calls. They were
Yeah.
like big
And
money.
well, back then and now too, right?
Right.
Yeah. And even like with you, with your upbringing, you know, Mississauga and or like being out west, like out there, right? It was like it was always actually was getting developed at that time, right? It wasn't suburban, but it was still suburban because it was like a newly developing area, right? And from what I'm hearing, a pretty good household, right?
Yeah.
So then what made you stray left?
Again, it's just being around people, right? It's kind of
Mhm.
just
Peer
trying to
pressure
fit
and
in.
stuff, yeah.
And so forth, right? And
Yeah.
then that one thing kind of, you have an experience and you feel that you're okay,
Mhm.
but really you're not okay. You're traumatized, but again, you don't have the knowledge about being traumatized.
Yeah.
You don't have the knowledge about mental health,
Mhm.
right? Everything in about, well, hey, you're a man,
Yeah, man up.
you're good,
Mhm.
that's what it is. Nothing wrong with you. Shake that off, right?
Yeah.
And get back to yourself.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
And from the time that you were growing up, right? This is like right around the crack epidemic, like right when it started to hit the streets, like what, 86, 87, right? You were probably in the prime of your life at that time, no?
Yeah, I'd have been, and then I was already an adult.
Right.
Yeah.
So perfect. As an adult, seeing that time from when there was none to when now all of a sudden it's on the scene here in Toronto. What do you feel about that shift? What is your view on the way that shifted? Because I've spoken to other people, salute to PK Herc, and a whole bunch of other people about that time. And they always describe it as a shift, like a night and day shift.
Yeah.
Right? Did you see it the same way?
Definitely, 100%. A lot of people who you saw was really on top of things, and even look up to those people.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know, went on a bad slide,
Yeah.
like a Wonderland slide that just, tilt them off to somewhere else, man. The recycle bin or something. I don't know.
That's crazy, man.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, and I think back then we had a lot of opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have decisions to go left, go right.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot was going on. There was a lot of money in the scene. It was a
New money.
different
Yeah.
era, and there was a lot of there was pressure to say, but you still had a choice. But you had people who you kind of, man, I want to be like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when you started to see a lot of people like that look like us popping up with luxury cars and jewelry, and the artillery got heavier and everything like that because the crack era started turning young brothers into millionaires or 100,000-aires in like a month. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was definitely a pivotal time, right? And now, like, you have stuff going on like gangs for tuition program, different things, right? All right. We all come full circle to where you are now, where your experiences can help some of the people who are behind bars, right?
All right.
So can we talk about some of the programs that you have that help some of the people behind bars?
So some of the programs we have is our Gangs for Tuition program,
for Tuition. Mm-hmm.
Our music program, which was launched July this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate to get some support from Universal Record.
Nice.
They gave actual financial support. And they also gave support of being able to use their new studio that they built here in Toronto. It was built over COVID.
Yeah.
And we had our launch there and so forth. So that was very good. And our mentorship program.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's one of the things that's really needed. in our community, because we have to be mindful of everything that goes on around us, but we have to be mindful of the next generation. Like, everyone knows, or people who's been to the justice system knows what Keep Six stands for. Keep Six stands for. Keep Six, looking out.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm doing something. Keep Six. Watch out for the guard. In my way I use it, Keep Six is looking out for the next generation. Right. I've lived my own experience, passing it on to someone that they might not go down the path that I chose, or whatever happens to me or someone else, right?
Yeah.
That's how Keep Six stands for. And that's what I try to do, support individuals in the system.
No, man, that's real, man. And, even with some of the people that you have dealt with behind bars, some of the times, or a lot of the times, we have some of these people in common from people who I've interviewed, right? Because from what I do here with the We Love Hip Hop Network, I interview a plethora of rappers, right? And a lot of the thing, because rap comes from the street, a lot of rappers have street circumstances that they deal with that we love to hear about in the songs, but they're actually dealing with real shit, and then a lot of times end up behind bars, right? I know, for example, Bizz Loc is somebody that we both have in common, that we've communicated with extensively in the past, and you like currently as well, right?
Right.
And then, can you give us some like other rappers that like some of our audience members are like, oh man, yeah, I know that guy, like, and some of the interactions that you've had with them?
So Bizz Loc is someone I just met, advocating for him in the system. There's another young gentleman that I had the opportunity to interview from Maximum, Collins Bay, Lamar Skeets.
Yes.
He's got convicted on rap lyrics.
Yeah.
His case making precedent in this country right now.
I've interviewed him as well. Yeah.
Right. And these individuals, I mean, great people, just wants to be able to have a voice. And again, someone like Bizz Loc, I mean, I think for him right now, he's at a point where he just wants to show young people, or people, that, hey, the Ray, it ain't all about that. It ain't what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I have another interview coming up with one of the gentlemen from the G-Way, that's inside, and that's coming up this month.
Yeah, and that's on your Connect the Six series.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things he is saying is that, people think about gang lifestyle, it's whack. This is someone who, allegedly, they said, was a gang leader and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Right? But again, very smart gentleman, and he's got a very big message, for young people. So these are the things. Even I know even Bizz Loc himself is sending out some positive music, because that's his way right now. He's been dealing with music through his mental health, using music as a resource, right?
Yeah. And even like, because I did listen to the song, right? His cadence has changed. He has a more calm cadence in the way that he flows now. Like, he's not like he's like jumping out through the screen, you know what I'm saying? Which, don't get me wrong, I loved that, you know what I'm saying? But he's still flowing in the pocket, you know what I mean? So salute to Bizzy if he gets a chance to hear this, right? And like his cadence, or his style is slowed down, like it's calmed down a bit, you know what I'm saying? So I fuck with it, man. And salute to all the man that behind the wall, man. Hold your head.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent. And I mean, right now, I think one of the things I would like to accomplish, or being able to do, is be able to give these individuals behind the walls a voice.
Yeah.
We always have to remember, no matter what we go through in life, we always have to be able to give other people an opportunity. Because sometimes that person just wants that one person to walk up to them and show the care and give them that knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems, I find in our community. A lot of times everybody's just so busy doing their own thing. The boy, I'm done for,
Yeah.
dash way, Take the time. And this is where I feel that Keep Six comes in. And even myself, I mean, I lived it and I know firsthand. And if it wasn't for some people, like even my own personal one on my own defense team, I don't know what would have happened, right, to me sometimes.
No, that's real, man. And even with like the way that, we're in the now, right? 2022, 2023, social media is alive and active. Like, how do kids usually end up in jail now compared to back in the days? Or because, you've explained, peer pressure and there's obviously hood circumstances and those are givens. But how do you feel like even in these days and times that kids end up in jail now? Shout out to our sponsors, Astro Pink, always coming with that loud. Check them out on their website, myastropink.com, or you can hit them up on Instagram at astro_pink. If you know, you know.
Right now, a lot of it has to do with desperation, support, not having support, bad decisions, and poverty. Even when I put together Gangs for Tuition, we're working on it. One of the things why I picked the trade, first of all, the trade is one area where you can have a $30-odd an hour pay.
From behind bars?
No, I mean outside. Outside.
Okay, right? Yeah.
And majority of the time, individuals make these choices because of poverty, desperation. So if I'm able to take a person and says, okay, go through this program and here's some training and you're going to learn some trade and you're going to get $35 or, $28 or $40 an hour. So you just sit down and do the math. So if I'm going to be able to walk home every day and have to look over my back, I know I have maybe $1,000 a week or $800 a week paycheck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it makes way more sense. Like you could think about it like, oh shit, I'm only making this much off my chops. Why don't I get a real job? Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And even with one of the things that you were mentioning, right? When we were talking about the system, tell me what comes to mind when I tell you just this quick story here. When I was behind bars, right? I went to jail back in 2010. I was in Frontenac, right? I got to go to minimum security, so I was blessed, right? Not blessed because I went to jail, but like I was actually blessed, actually. Let me just say that. I was blessed because it helped me turn my mind around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I met somebody in there, a very young gentleman, and he said something to me like, and he was probably 20 years old at the time. It's a soft thing. I got a couple more bids in me. Like, to me, that's still stuck with me today. I'm telling the story right now, right? But I've told the story multiple times this year because that stuck with me. Is that a common mentality? And why is that mentality, actually, not if it's a common mentality, why is that mentality there? Where a young man could just feel like, you know what, I went to jail once, I'll get in trouble again. I can go to jail until like I'm 35 or whatever.
Remember, they're programmed that way. When an individual is going through the system, there is no sense of anyone programming their mind says, you know what, you made this bad choice. Here is resources or whatever. The only thing when they get out is, one, get employment, working, and try to finish till your time is finished and your TX.
Right.
Now, between that time, the person is struggling with their PO and all the obstacles come in, but they're not getting the support. Right? So you get so accustomed to it that you says, you know what? I'm good. I'm maybe good for 5 more bits. But then he's young.
Yo, that's still, just even hearing you say it, it hurts my heart, man.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, man. And
I mean, look at, okay, so I don't mean to interrupt you, but just stop and look at it realistically.
Yeah.
Look at even a brother who has been in the system for 35 years, 40 years, just in and out. Now, that person is dealing with something. There is a bigger issue that we have to look at. I would say it's fair to say that 80 to 90% of the time, it's a trauma in that person's life.
Yeah.
But again, in our community, mental health and these things are not something we talk about. It's like, boy, you got a prisoner, come on. Just put yourself together. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get up. Shake it off. Yo, doggy, good to see you. Hey, let's go get some Henny and, you know what I mean? Good, you touch. You don't know her already, So again, you're missing that support and that mentor, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, like,
you ever heard the whole saying? You know what I mean? It's if you want to be around people who eat caviar and drink fine wine, you have to go to a joint where they serve caviar and fine wine, right? You want to be around folks who, eat burger and drink beer. You got to go to a joint that serve beer and burger, right? That's how life is.
Yeah. No,
it comes down about your environment.
Yeah.
Right?
The people you surround yourself with. Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah. And even speak to that a little bit more, the importance of mentorship.
Mentorship is very important. And the reason why when you have someone that you can, no matter how much you're climbing up a ladder or the stairs, there's going to be a time that you're going to feel, you're going to slip. You have to get up and brush off your knee and keep on moving.
Yeah.
Or you're just going to need someone just to help you, because you might lose that vision. You just need someone to put you in check. Like I've had friends where I just call and say, "Yeah, man, what are you really getting upset at? B, I mean, like, look what you're doing,
Yeah.
Forget about that. That's nothing, right? And then you have someone who might say something, and you're like, are you really talking to me?
Yeah.
You kind of like, and then but you say like, no, you know what? It's not even worth the conversation. Because if you go down that road, you already know where you're heading, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to be able to also check yourself, right? It's important.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, it comes down to and then there's a lot going on in the street and in our community, but again, it's important for us to be able to have that kind of support for young people. And again, address even the mental health aspect. That's one of the big things I'm very much advocate for when guys come out and say, you know what, I'm tired, I really want to change. You have to start from within.
Yeah.
Check your head, dog.
Yeah, you got to do a mental inventory, you know what I'm saying? And, even with some of the stuff that you got going on, or the organization has going on, like there's the yearly banquet. Can you talk to us a little bit about the yearly banquet?
So every year, one of the things is I've always wanted to help individuals in our community. And it's not about the individual who just get out of jail or so, but what about the mothers, the children? So before COVID, we used to have a Christmas dinner and gift drive.
Yeah.
At a restaurant downtown over by Adelaide and Young. Great people. We were able to have the dinner there. And then we were able to get support. We filled a Christmas list for 3 families each year and got the list of what they wanted, and we filled that. We had sponsors.
Yeah.
Before COVID, TTC, their union, took 2 families.
Okay.
And filled their list and baskets and stuff and everything else.
Oh, that's dope.
So because of COVID and everything, the restaurant ended up being closing. So I wanted to continue. I did a Christmas concert to help mothers, families impacted by gun violence because of what's going on in the city, and then continue to do it. So now this year I'm actually doing a pancake breakfast, basketball tournament, and gift drive. And what my ask is to our community is to donate a gift card, a food gift card from, Walmart or Freshco or Food Basics, wherever. So people can get food. people in the community are going through some really difficult times. I'll say that.
Yeah, especially this year, man.
It's hard. So we're having that, and I'm having two, one in Brampton, one in Malton, and one in the city. I'm actually doing one with Chaclair on December 4th at 300 College Street. Afternoon from 2 p.m. till 7. Bring the kids out. There's games in there for the kids. It's establishment that has games and stuff like that. And then we're giving young people the opportunity who's got into their music. It's open mic.
Nice.
Come and see, do your flow and do your thing, and come on out and make it a wonderful afternoon. And people just donate toys or a gift card to help. And then we're going to get everything together, go out to the areas and help the families that we're able to get.
No, man, that's dope, man. That's something beautiful and helpful that we need over here in this city, man. You know what I mean? And you definitely deserve your flowers, man, because I feel like when it comes to activism, right, what you do and outreach, it's a thankless job. Like, people recognize, but they don't get the same clout as the rappers and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know it's not something that y'all are doing that for, but like on a platform like this, I want to make sure that it's recognized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I appreciate you, man.
It's funny, you said that, because I remembered when I started Keep Six when I walked out of the bin, right? I was on parole, living in a halfway house, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing everything else in the city, and I'm, helping and doing everything, but nobody knew that when I left at night, or I had to be back at a certain time at the halfway house, right? I'm putting in work for my community, but and I'm it makes you very humble, but at the same time, it's a great joy to be able to help others, right? And I look back from when I started, from 5 years going into 6 years ago. When you're on paper, it's hard when you're on paper.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do something that you're passionate about and you want to, but then again, you just focus yourself, like nothing's going to stop you. This is what I'm doing, and this is what I got to get through. And I thank God, and I'm blessed. I'm thankful for the support. I'm thankful for the people that believed in me. And overall, I'm very thankful for God, because sometimes even our own people try to even hold you down and beat you down, right? You'd be surprised. Because what people see and what really happens, it's always, the difficult times, right? But I'm very fortunate that, God put me on this mission. This is what he wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And that's where I get my peace, right? And that's the reason I do what I do. I don't do it. I surely don't make money from it. So that's out of the question.
Yeah.
I don't get fame. I'm not trying to. The interviews that I've done has always been about my advocacy or something I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I'm happy. I'm happy to be behind the scene, but I'm happy to help others. I'm happy to see that brother that wants to change, that, he hasn't been. I had a brother who was in the gang lifestyle, went through Keep Six program. The man's been out now for about 3 years.
Wow.
Working in construction.
Nice.
Never been back.
Nice.
It's been, years for me too. Thank God, knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy. And that's where I get my joy. That's what I'm thankful for.
No,
right?
Man.
It's something that, to me, words can't explain it, right?
Yeah, man. God bless.
It's very, very deep for me, man. And it's one of those things. You get to a point in life where you just find your purpose. You might spend years and years trying to find it, but you find it and you're just passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's real talk right there. And just last couple questions, just like to broaden the conversation, just about this social state and just the way that young people have been dealing with society right now. So, for example, like the recidivism rate, right? How do we bring that down, man? How do we keep our kids from going into jail? A lot of these rappers who I interviewed them, and the next thing you know, I'm like, what do you mean I'm doing a report on you being in jail? Like, no, like, let's make that stop happening. Like, how do we bring down the recidivism rate?
One of the things we have to start to do, we have to again go back to the mental state of mind in our community.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much trauma that, and don't get me wrong, it's not something, part of it is from today, but there's stuff that's carrying on from years, decades, and it's been passing and passing. We need to start to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. Not just the children, mothers, fathers, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the first important things. And I stand by that all the way.
Start to unpack.
Yeah.
No, that's real talk right there. And I'm gonna make that at the title of this episode right here. Start to unpack. Because people, that's real jewelry right there. And a question that I've asked a multitude of people, but I feel that you'll be able to give us some really good insight on this. You know, with our city having a rising in the gun violence over the years, I'm seeing sometimes on City 24 the big bust, and they've taken like 20 guns off the street, but then like that still doesn't stop things. Like, what can we do to bring down the gun violence?
The gun violence itself in our city, it's fair to say that we need to come together as a community. We remember something, is that we are killing off each other.
Yeah.
The guns, we're not the one who are bringing in the guns. There's somebody bringing it in. It's coming in from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's dropping off in our community, right? If we stop and we move up to Rosedale or Forest Hill, why we ain't getting no gunshot now fire up there. So
that's true. That's true. And if it is, this is like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So we need to come together and unite, right? And there's politics, there's beef. At the end of the day, we need to look at the broader picture and say to ourselves, what are we really going to gain if me and you start beefing? Besides the fact of our ego, or the fact that you feel or I feel that I'm better than you, or, you know, I have a good story to go tell after, you know, I'm sitting around drinking some Henny with some people or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting down for 18 years, 15 years, and don't even know, you're hoping to get out someday, you have a different mindset.
Yeah.
You start saying, you know, boy, I wish we did, you know, hook up with Friday and go chill out with him and play some domino, and that night they when we get the phone call or whatever, right? But that's how I see it to be real talk.
No, man, I appreciate that jewelry right there, man. What else do you guys have coming up for this year and then even going into next year? Because, you know, we're at the end of the year and, you know, as any good businessman, we all plan into next year.
Right.
Yeah.
So for this year, our last event is fair to say would be our pancake breakfast basketball gift drive on December 17th.
Okay.
Once that takes place, then we'll be giving out gifts throughout the city in areas to help families for the holidays. Going into the new year, we just collaborating with a gentleman in the States speaking about gun violence named TJ Johnson.
Okay.
Brother from Memphis, ran big gang between Memphis and somewhere else. I think he got like 33 years. We was able to get out with a technicality, and he turned himself around, started doing advocacy, doing a lot of programs, built a program. I think he worked with Memphis police and gave them his program. or speak to youth and stuff like that. So we're collaborating with him because what we have to look at is that what's happening right here in Canada today is the same thing that's in a larger scale in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to be able to reach the young people at a young age. And that's how we're collaborating with him from the States and come together. Again, we need to work together.
Yeah.
Have respect for each other. And, if one of us fall, we got to be able to help the other one up.
That's a fact.
Not step on the next one. I'll go on to the next step and say, why, you know what I mean? But because you never know, that person might get back up and, you just lost somebody. But we have to unite.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So for that, that's what we're looking at. And keep Six just to grow. I mean, there's our music program for next year. We're planning to have an actual show.
Okay.
I'm just in the process of even contacting Universal, trying to have it over there and have a talent. So it's going to be Black Canada Top Talent.
Okay.
They get to audition. Going to have everybody gets and pick the winner, maybe 3 winners. Those individuals maybe get some recording time, get to be on some television shows and stuff like that. Give these young people an opportunity to get out there, be heard, be seen.
Yeah.
One of the things that they always say, man, we don't have no support here in Canada. Nobody supports us. So I want to be trying to push them forward, get them on the stage, let them see, build. Even our music program, it's not just about being in the talent, but they get the opportunity about the business side, being on SOCAN, contracts, lawyers and stuff like that, right? So that's how, that's it for 2023. And again, our back to school that we do every year. And just grow. I'm hoping to even go to the provincial government, with a proposal on our program and stuff like that. So just to grow bigger, man. Just, be able to reach a larger audience and keep on supporting our people and, and just make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, it's beautiful to see, since 2017 to where we are now and where we're going, the progression, and the amount of people that you've been able to help, the positive changes that you've been able to make, and the whole organization has been able to make. You know what I mean? I salute you, man, and I salute everything that you do. I salute everybody in the organization. We had a great conversation. I was on Connect the Six with Rachel. She had a great interview with me. Salute to her. And we had her on one of our shows in the past as well. Yeah. She talked a lot about the TRAP program and a whole bunch of different things. So everything that you guys have been able to do for the city, we need it. We appreciate it. The people who are getting assisted from it appreciate it. And I just want to make sure that you understand that, and we salute you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate you even having me on your podcast. And again, to all the community, follow Keep Six if you need support or somebody that going down that wrong path. Keep Six, KEEP, the number 6.org. Just fill out one of our intake form or call us at 1-800-640-3075.
Okay.
Keep Six in the 6.
Yes. Yeah, man, we're going to end it right there. I think that we have a lot of information out there for the audience out there. Salute to the Comment Gang strong. Make sure to hit the like, make sure to hit the subscribe, and make sure to share this information and this video to all the people out there. Richard Miller in the building. Keep Six.org. It's your boy Friday Ricky Dread. I'm off of this. Deuces.
Peace. Thank you, man.